Welcome to the last show of the season, or should I say the last race of the season? Maybe not the last show, because we may have a couple of bits obviously lined up, but it is definitely the last F1 show for the season for Abu Dhabi. We have our guest Martin on today, who's becoming a resident with us, so soon you will not be a guest. And then we've also got Andy as well to join us today to talk about the pinnacle of racing, the season ending, defining 2021 season. How are we, lads? How are we?
All good, man. Absolutely, pun intended, revved up for today. Just history in the making, isn't it? It's, you know, two drivers going into the last race of the season, identical on points, not on first places, but identical on points. It's the second time in history it's happened. It's the first time in our lifetime this has happened. And it's been epic all season. It has been absolutely epic. And I'm sure you reiterate that as well, Martin.
Oh, definitely, mate. Definitely. Like I say, a lot of us, you know, will have never seen this before, apart from the older viewers who may have. This is going to be, it's either going to be a massive anticlimax and they're going to go out in the first corner, but we are going to see history made regardless. We're going to either get a new world champion or an outstanding, on his own, 8-time world champion. So, yeah, bring it on. Bring it on.
Yeah, definitely. Paul, obviously, news broke the other week before the Jeddah race about Sir Frank Williams. God rest him. We're going to have to talk about him because what he's done for F1, he took it to a new level, didn't he? With a team, he hashed a team together, and you know, won as many championships as they did, and some of the drivers they had as well. But just Frank on himself, he was a face that you always saw around the paddock, didn't you? Even in his later days as well. I think he only stepped away really 2 years ago, and he's going to be sadly missed. And
everything that he overcame, obviously, when he had accidents and became, you know, paraplegic, and to continue in a sport that, you know, William, you know, you mentioned F1, you mentioned Williams. Regardless of what they are now, Williams were massive back in the day, and it is all down to that man right there. You know what I mean? If there was no him, there's no Williams. It's simple as that.
Yeah. He's my obviously we all have our sort of what it means to them with F1, and he very much was my F1 for my early part of me watching through the 90s. He was always that guy who put together those championship winning teams and sort of challenging titles with PK, obviously Senna, which unfortunately finally got his man. And obviously we know the history of that. But obviously Damon Hill was a big thing. So for me, he's very much sort of like the main, if you're talking about the bosses of F1 teams, he's right up there for me.
Massively. I mean, it was
Mansell for me. It was Mansell for me.
You've just reeled a couple of names up there. Hill, Mansell, Prost, Senna, Piquet, Keke Rosberg. He was his first world champion in the Saudi Williams at the time. Yeah, and just think of his legacy is always going to live on, isn't it? And I know obviously Williams is not the Williams team that we knew from the past, but they are continuing with the name because that name holds so much, doesn't it, within F1 that if it disappeared, then is it really F1 anymore? You know, but I'm sure that the William boys and girls down at the factory will keep his memory living on for a lot longer. And all I can do is salute the man for what he gave. He was 110% focused just on F1. That was it. And you've got to think as well, speaking of Frank, he took a bit of a risk in the 90s. He had a bike team and he had a British touring car team at the same time. He took, and their development as well. A lot of the things that you see on probably your road cars today probably came from Williams, as in like they developed so much. But yeah, it's sad. It is sad.
Well, he pushed the sport forwards, didn't he? Because if you think about the whole Schumacher era, basically with what was then Benetton, and obviously technology, they had to change the sport because Williams were so far ahead. They were a defining sport changer back in the day. So back in sort of 90, I think it was 94, wasn't it, where they had to change the rules and regulations because Williams were that far ahead. So yeah, kudos. Obviously, it's a very sad day, but also a day to champion and celebrate what the guy did for sport and his team around him.
Yeah. So obviously, thoughts are with the family in this difficult time, but your legacy will live on, Frank. We're going to miss you, but what you've set down for everybody. Breaking away from that, it's not really sad, but the legend Kimi Räikkönen is retiring from F1 today. This will be his last race. We think it might be his last race because he has done this before. I think so. Kimi Räikkönen, wow. I mean, a man of very little words, shall we say, but those little words, again, live long in your memory, isn't they? He's just so straight to the point. Love Kimi, legend of the sport.
Did I see yesterday on the side of his car? They've put, "We'll let you go now, Kimi," or Kimi, or something like that. There's something along the lines, "We'll let you retire now. We'll let you go now," on the side of his car. So that's a nice little touch, that is. And I know this thing's being banned around today that everyone should just vote for him for driver of the day, regardless.
Yeah, please. Anybody who's watching the F1 today, vote for Kimi Räikkönen to be driver of the day.
Just vote for him.
It's a fitting
Imagine how much that would mean to him.
Oh, he probably won't care.
People like that. I came last.
Well, what was he had an interview the other day, and he's like, they were asking about the Abu Dhabi track, and he's like, "I don't care. I'm not racing here next year." It's just like, okay.
What difference does it make to me?
You know, you had your obviously we lost Murray Walker this year as well, but we had your Murrayisms, but there's your Raikkonens as well. Like, there's so many things. A lot of them you can't say because there's a few expletives, shall we say, and that was the man that Kimi was, and I wouldn't say it's sad, but it's just someone who's been in F1 for...
His time's come to hang his helmet up and his gloves up on it, and at the you know, you won't mind being a pound behind his bank account. I don't feel too sad for him, but go and enjoy your retirement. Go and spend time with your family and your friends. Live, you know.
Comment from
I'm sure
Marcus
he won't step
here.
away from racing forever. I think it'd just be F1.
Hello, Marcus. How you doing, mate? Glad you commented on. You're on, obviously looking at the great race ahead, hopefully, and obviously, it's believe in your dreams, believe in yourself first, because it's where dreams begin. So
we're going
to deep in it. That's a bit deep. 10 past 11 in the morning, isn't it? That one. That's a bit deep.
Should we dive straight into it, boys? Max versus Lewis. The day has come. We are just an hour and 50 minutes away from lights out in Abu Dhabi. Question for you both: where did this battle? What race was it where it really, really started?
I think just before the triple header that we had a few weeks back, and I did say then, whoever comes out of that on top, not in points because obviously nobody has, but whoever's come out of that on top will go ahead and win it, and I will stand by that. And the person who has come out on top is Lewis Hamilton. He has come out on top of them triple header and continue the momentum, and for me, that's why he will go on today and win it. Mercedes and Red Bull bickering at the beginning of the season, Red Bull had it all their own way, and now they don't like it when the feathers are getting ruffled. And it's not the two drivers that have gone into each other's heads; it's the two teams. But one team has affected the driver in a negative way, and the other one hasn't. So yeah, I think just before that triple header, it was close. Had Hamilton lost a couple of them races, won't be sat here now talking about it. But he didn't. Because it's Lewis Hamilton.
Silverstone for me was definitely a turning point in the way that the drivers saw each other. I think everyone's known for a long time that Max drives in a certain way, and I think they're expecting him to maybe potentially change a little bit because there's more at stake rather than just the occasional win or just the chance to sort of like get onto that winning position. They thought there might be a bit of a change coming. Silverstone proved to me that obviously he was. I mean, obviously there's Max camp, there's Lewis's camp. There's not many people who's in between who kind of like looking at it in a way where basically it's neither fault. I think you're right, Martin, regarding the team principles. I think in one way you're absolutely spot on that it's between them. However, what I will say is that it is the drivers as well, but in a negative effect from Horner. Christian Horner's got into Max's head, and not. I think
Toto's got into Horner's head.
Definitely,
that's the main thing.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. The principle. I mean, like I say, you can almost see it in Max's body language that he's trying to maintain dignity, but I think he knows he's a defeated man. And it is a shame, but I mean, I might be wrong. My heart is telling me that Lewis is going to win it, but my head is actually saying, no, actually, Max is going to win it. And it is that finely balanced, that finely poised.
My heart will always go with Lewis. I'm a Brit. I support all British drivers. My team is obviously a British team, which is McLaren, but I support all British drivers, and my heart will always go with Lewis. I just think my head is telling me that it isn't going to be Lewis's year. Or
I think Red Bull have actually. I didn't realise this until because I was watching qualifying yesterday, but only the last part of it. I was going to catch up later on, but to be fair, I watched the last obviously Q3, and that was enough for me to sort of see it. And I think they have got into Red Bull's head, and I understand that it was important to get Max on pole. But
they've took a massive. Tire? But that's what I mean. They took a massive risk with this. Yeah. So, like, obviously, Martin, you were saying you've never seen the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, so
not fully. No,
it's fully. A sunset race, and the softs work better in the heat. This track is going to be constantly cooling as the night goes on. So, the softs aren't going to hit they're going to hit their optimum probably between lap 6 and lap 8. I think personally, and then they'll start to drop off because they don't work. So. The undercut is open. It's just how far can Max get ahead on the softs, and I don't think Lewis is going to allow him to do that. I don't think, personally for me, I don't think the tyres are going to make too much of a difference at the start. I think mediums is right. It's the right way to go.
Yeah.
Lewis has made a great comment yesterday, which I thought was brilliant. He goes, "Well, at least he's in front of me." So it's like,
I think they tactically played it really well, and I'm convinced that Lewis is going to do it because I think they've got into the head. They forced if Red Bull weren't on the back foot, ironically they're not. It's a Max is winning on in the championship due to head to head or wins, whichever way you want to put it. But they're clear on the back foot because they've chosen to go with. If they were equals, they would have chosen to go on the same tyre.
But they've sacrificed Bottas and Perez for this. If you look at both teams, they've sacrificed. Where are they? Where, like, basically in my eyes, their part to play in this. It's not there. They can't do anything really. Obviously, Lando finished qualified third, which is great for him. But what's he going to do? He's not going to do much, is he? Really?
Did you hear what he said? He turned around and said, I'll see what happens. And if there's a chance, I'll go through, but I'm gonna leave him to it. Basically, he's literally gonna he's gonna leave him to it.
Well,
it's a fight. It's a fight you don't want to be involved in. Really, you've just got to let him go.
No, he doesn't need to get involved in it. No, he doesn't. He doesn't. And like I say, you say Red Bull made a mistake yesterday, but they only changed the tyres because Verstappen locked up and flat spotted one of his tyres. So I think the hand was kind of forced. Didn't he? The hand was kind of forced for him. And I know Horner's come out.
They're both though. Was Perez on mediums though, isn't he as well? Or softs? Sorry.
I think
he's on softs.
But he's both on softs now.
So in my opinion, I think that's the way they're going to go anyway.
Yeah, but did you see that Max's pole lap? He got a toe from Perez, whereas Hamilton didn't use Bottas at all. He went ahead of Bottas and thought, you know what, I'm not messing about. I just want to get on with my lap.
He went for
fair play to him. I mean, that toe makes a massive difference. It's an extra
added complication, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
If something goes wrong, you sort of Lewis just wants to do it for himself. Would you rely on Bottas?
No, I wouldn't.
Not since Mercedes told him we weren't driving for him next year. Yeah, no, I wouldn't trust him. No,
I mean,
I wouldn't.
As race goes, and freaking FIA again, making rules up as they go along. I'm not happy about this rule, mate. And I think we've discussed this between ourselves in the chat. Why are the FIA allowed to just add a rule for unsportsmanlike conduct when there's been so much of it in the season? Not just Max and Lewis.
Look at this comment here. This is exactly the reason why.
Mm.
Do you know what it is? If you look back onto it, because I was speaking to someone last night who's a bit of an F1 expert, as in he goes to races, looks at the rules and regulations. Apparently, there is no rule change. This has been in place, but the only difference is they've turned around and made it abundantly clear that if Max uses his tactics to take out Lewis, they will deduct points off him.
Well, that's a money thing. My eyes, it's a money thing because they can't afford another Senna Prost. They can't afford to.
It's just not right. And the thing is, for me, the only thing I'm cheesed off with the FIA with this really is a firmly Lewis camp, is they should have made a point of this 2 races ago. Because Lewis has been racing against Max with the fear that he's going to go into him and lose the championship. It would have cut out a lot of the stuff. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's been entertaining. But it would have taken out a lot of this stuff because if the FIA just had come out with this 2 races ago.
But it's where you see the line. Is Max dangerous or is he just too aggressive? I don't think he's dangerous. I just think he's too aggressive. And
I think Max becomes dangerous when.
But you're orchestrating how this race is going to go, and that to me doesn't sit well. I want to see these boys completely go at it. Max hasn't got.
Is he any more dangerous though to the drivers of old and stuff like that, or is he just being an overly aggressive person? I personally think today, I kind of agree with what Mark just said. I've said it all along. I can see something happening today, and if there's one person what's not going to finish the race, it probably will be Verstappen. I think he will push too hard. If Lewis gets in front of him, he's going to want to catch him, and vice versa. If Lewis is behind him, he's going to be in his mirrors constantly. We all know that Lewis can take him when he wants. Max will then panic. He'll do something, whether he takes himself off or takes them both off.
Yeah. Well, this is it.
Whether you look at last week's race in Jeddah. Was that dangerously brake checked him? No, they've got the data in, and it looked very stupid, and they give him a 10-second penalty, which made no difference. But let's face it, that race last week was absolutely crackers. Anyway, everyone making mistakes. Nobody knew what was going on. There were people slamming into walls, hitting each other.
Martin,
come on,
they've got the telemetry. They know exactly what happened last week. That's why they
he brake checked him. He did brake check him,
and he didn't just do that. If you watch it, he drifted slightly as well at the wrong time.
I get it, but there was all sorts going on in that race last week. There was all sorts going on. To me, it just added to the fun of it. I thought.
But you can't say that Lewis didn't know what was happening. You can't say that.
Come on, right? Okay, so when have we ever seen that between a modern racing driver in the last 15 years? Okay,
all right, I can do it. Lewis Vettel.
Okay,
Azerbaijan.
but in a position where no, that's different because Azerbaijan's a bigger, higher speed track, so that was done off the back of a corner. Okay, so it's a bit different. This was done with the actual thing in mind to confuse the hell out of Hamilton the way that he slowed down. If you look at it subtly, and someone else has picked up on this, he drifted on that slight turn because the whole straight on, obviously in Brazil, get my words all wrong now. Yeah, it kind of comes around, and you can see how he drifts, and he drifted only slightly, but 150 mile an hour drifting like that. You're like, so, and
he was told to do it. He was told to do it. It's like, so they
slow down and drift to the left.
No. The message, right? So the FIA contacted Red Bull at the start of the lap. I mean, because that's the back straight, isn't it? Start of lap said you need to concede a position to Lewis, and so they went to Max and they went, right, Max, you need to give the position back to Lewis, but do this tactically. They're coming into the DRS detection zone, which means if he slowed down enough, Lewis went past, he'd get the DRS on Lewis. So, and Lewis weren't having it either because he knew what was coming. He's like, there's a DRS zone. I'm not giving him DRS. Why would you?
So Max basically slowed down enough, didn't know it wasn't happening, and then drifted in. That's basically what happened to stop Lewis from going past him at that point. Yeah. So
no, he wanted Lewis to go past because he could hit the DRS button. But and Lewis was like, I'm not having this. I'm not having it.
So Max stopped a lot. To let someone pass, you don't need to slow down as much as he did then. And that's the problem. And Lewis, if anything, the next move it happened, it's a shame we haven't got the graphics for this, but the next move showed exactly what was going on because I've never, in my years of watching Formula One racing, I've never seen a driver give a place back and then instantly take it back again. Instantly.
No.
Which is what he did. I've never seen that before in it ever. Unless you can bring them.
I mean, can we just say about last week's race, though? Obviously, we weren't on but judging that one out of 10, I would give that one an 11 if I could. Because what an absolute fantastic race that was last week.
I'll give it a 10 as well. I think it
were bonkers. It had everything. The only team what got through that without any kind of issue was McLaren. Even Mercedes, when they had their crash, and you've got him just like looking at his damaged nose course, thinking, well, what do I do with that? So what do you think you're going to do with it? Change it. You're on red flag here. Change. Don't stand there looking at your nose cone. Everybody else was fixing cars. There were stewards picking up bits and pieces off the track. Pretty much all the way around the track.
And that really annoyed me. This red flag. So obviously, McLaren cat coming right on right now. Look, Lando's right. They lost out because of a red flag and people being able to steal a pit stop. I think it's stupid. What a stupid rule that allowed this to happen.
Just go into the pits and wait till the red flag clears. Simple as that. Keep your tyres warm if that's what you want to do, but don't start changing bits and pieces on your car. But, great race. Then if it wasn't for that race, obviously we wouldn't be having this race today, would we? You know what I mean? It wouldn't be all finally set up in the balance and whatnot. So, and what Lewis did last week was just, again, fantastic. He didn't let that coming together get to him.
I mean, the last couple of races we've seen a master at his finest. Like the hunting into Lagos is one of my highlights of the season. Best drive I've ever seen from a driver to go from last place, and he didn't just hunt Max down. He just knew tactically what he was going to do to him. He backed out of things that he didn't need to get himself involved in. He knew his car was far superior and knew that was going to happen. I've not seen a driver go from last place to the front since Canada when Jenson Button did it. But that was a master at work.
He's just a phenomenal driver, and I don't care
this is like going back to my point. This is why I think Max is a defeated man. When he stormed off the stage off the podium last week, it was kind of, that was petulance of him. He'd just been called at steward's office, but then so had Hamilton. But you don't walk away. But he'd gone. His head's gone. He didn't want to be around that situation, and he showed his immaturity by doing that.
That's the indication. That's exactly what you're spot on there, Martin, because that's exactly the indication of where Max is right now. And if it doesn't go his way today, he's going to do something stupid potentially.
And is that his inexperience? I mean, actually, no. Sorry, I'm going to rewrite it because he's 5 years into it now. Yes, he's a young driver. Is this his young head taking over his experience by acting like that, like a petulant child?
he's a little bit petulant. Obviously he comes across very, very arrogant, and he's probably not. He's probably a nice bloke. You know, at the end of the day, the Austrians, the Germans, they're very matter of fact that they deal with it. They don't have like, you know, they're well renowned for not having like a massive big sense of humour. He just gets his job done, and it comes across as arrogant. But then you can also flip that to Lewis. He gets his job done and can come across arrogance at the same time. You've got to have that bit of arrogance in you, but it's how you deal with it. And he did come across. It was petulant walking off the stage.
If Max doesn't do it, so the question mark, which I'm going to ask you, which we asked a few races ago, probably before Lewis came back into it. Okay, or that first race when he started coming into it with that triple header, and we asked the question between us: if Max doesn't win the title this year,
done.
Is that going to have an adverse effect for the rest of his career? Because the car's going to be different next year. I don't see Max as being better than a lot of other drivers.
This is how I worded it, wasn't it? I said he needs to beat Lewis, right, to get any credibility with his title, but he's got to do it in the turbo hybrid era. And this is the last race where we're going to see the turbo hybrids. And that's the credibility. When it comes to a new car next year, not saying it's not credible, but the credibility goes down a little bit because we're not used to these cars, and we can just say, oh, it's the car. That's what it is. It's the car. He needs to do it in the turbo hybrid era. You know, you've got a 7-time world champion, 7-time constructors champions in a row as well. I believe they've done it 7 times now. Red Bull have to do it, and Max has to do it in this race.
Let me rephrase it then. Do you think the pressure's coming from the Red Bull team, i.e. Horner? Because Horner knows if he doesn't do it this year, it's like a reset again.
It is a reset, it's a massive reset for Red Bull next year because they take full control of their engines as well, don't they?
This is what I'm saying. So have they not got a competitive package next year, or they believe they?
Or they need the money. They need that extra money. I mean, you're talking millions of pounds from second to first in the constructors.
But do you get where I'm going with this? Do you get where I'm going with this?
Yeah. The pressure's being fed. The pressure's being fed to Max, and that's why I think we're seeing Horner be the way he is.
Yeah, so I'm trying to give something back here, Max. I've slated, because everyone knows I've slated Max quite a bit on here because obviously I'm Team Lewis, and but I'm giving something back with Max here and saying I think there's been some added pressure from the team, and I think he knows that
100%.
But where does Max go if Red Bull aren't going to give him the car?
For me, if Red Bull don't give him the car, he either walks away or Red Bull get rid of Horner and get a new team principal, the one that's actually got his head screwed on and will actually back Max up in a positive way rather than all this politics. And
I think Max
after the race, do you ever hear Horner come out and congratulate his driver? No, he's complaining about something that Mercedes have done.
Ferrari won't touch Max with a barge pole.
The last 6-7 races.
Why wouldn't Ferrari touch with a barge pole? They took Schumacher.
Because they've got 2 great drivers.
I'm not saying next year, but what I'm saying is Max is 24. Yeah, they took. Regardless if he wins the title this year, I think if he wins the title this year, so he wins it today, I think there's a bigger chance he'll end up there in a couple of years' time, because what you'll find is they'll pick one of the two. Whether basically it'll be Sainz or look one or the other basically will get dropped in a couple of years' time, because they always will do. They want to freshen it up. To say that Ferrari wouldn't take him, I think they would do in a heartbeat, because they took Schumacher, took Vettel. They have a habit of basically trying to take these type of drivers, these cold drivers who want to take a little bit of a risk here and there. Schumacher was exactly the same in his early days,
but they didn't get anything from Schumacher for years.
Yeah, but that's because the car.
Yeah, but then look what happened in the end.
Was awful when they.
What happened in the end?
It's a long game, isn't it? It's the long game.
No, but what I'm saying is, if you're saying Ferrari, there's no other team that I think will touch Max. No. Like Martin said to me, McLaren, not a chance. They would not take him. They're not that way out. They won't take somebody like that because they've got.
Merc won't take him because of the cold blood. Okay, McLaren aren't going to take him. Okay, I can't see him going to McLaren.
So he's stuck. He's pretty much stuck.
But I think that he would go to Ferrari. I think Ferrari.
I think he would.
2 years.
I think he would. I think he would.
Ferrari would. Of course, he would. Time. It would be.
I think I think, like I say, next season with these new cars, no one knows what these cars are going to be doing. No one's seen them go around the track properly yet with proper drivers behind the wheel. So who knows what's going to come? And
you can't
he
tell
might
me.
get fed up. He might get fed up in Red Bull. He might get fed up of being told from Horner that you're not
look at the history
backing
of Red Bull.
You're backing your team and you're arguing Mercedes. How about just forget
let's be realistic. Let's look at the history of Red Bull. Like when Red Bull came into it, obviously they had David Coulthard and stuff like that. But you've had Vettel, Webber left. Vettel got annoyed. He left as well because he was sick of being told what to do. Then they've got, who did they have after that? Oh, Ricardo. Ricardo left as well. Like, you just see this as a pattern that it doesn't seem like a happy camp there at all.
Yeah, I take it from the point of view that you've got a top driver in Max, regardless of what you say. He's there, and this experience.
He's a top driver.
I don't think he's as good as Lewis, and I think Lewis is a better driver. Can Max improve? Of course he can. He's 24. But
it's a bit hard to compare him to Lewis, isn't it? It is hard to compare him to Lewis because Lewis has got that longevity. 15 years ago,
compare Max to Shuey when Michael was his age, and Michael was accused of similar sort of things to Max when he was at Benetton originally. So Damon used to turn around to him and say he's on the edge, he pushes it, he's cold with it, and things like that. So that's why I'm going. Max could go to Ferrari. That's why I'm saying.
I discussed this with Andy. I have discussed that, and I agree with you. I think the only team open to him would be Ferrari. If not Ferrari, it'd be McLaren. But I can't see McLaren taking a punt on him. But I can see Ferrari in a few years' time going, you know what? Like you said, by that in 2 years' time, the Leclerc and Sainz situation. That's what Paul said. One of them will become a number two.
Yeah, it will do.
One of them will become number two, and it's that number two and then if they get Max in, the number one then will be like, so if it's Leclerc, it goes number one and Sainz number two and Sainz goes. Verstappen comes in, but then Verstappen will then be like equal to Leclerc, but then the season after, Verstappen will jump Leclerc, and then they'll just keep a merry-go-round, and a new driver will be involved. You know, 100%. A new driver will be on the mark. There's just that F2 driver what's just won the F2 World Championship.
He's coming in next year. He's in next.
Yeah, he's coming in as reserve. So these drivers are coming through constantly. You know, Ferrari have their own drivers, granted. Mercedes have their own drivers, granted. There's no one stopping these people from moving around. Any of their contracts are done. There's kind of like no loyalty. If they'll go on the money.
If you actually look at it, if you look at Ferrari, they have Alfa Romeo, and they have Haas as well, don't they? As their filter teams. Yeah, and that's hence why Kimi yesterday got an award from Ferrari. You forget that Alfa Romeo is actually not Alfa Romeo; it's Ferrari. It's
bear in mind, obviously Kimi drove for Ferrari and obviously won a championship with them, so that would be part and parcel of it. But yeah, that's enough for me. Basically, champion Max anyway. I think he's a good enough driver to basically make a difference, but he needs to go somewhere else.
Do you need to go and have a look, long hard look in the mirror, Paul?
Yeah,
which kind of leads me
into guys.
It kind of leads me into a question here for you guys then. So,
but does it kind of make you feel sorry for Max because the team are so
Lewis
bad
wins today? Does he retire?
Yeah, I think he should.
No,
or does he not?
Willie's a different question.
He wants to give next year a go with a new car. He wants to prove a point that the next.
But why would you? But he's not guaranteed next year's World Championship. Do you know what I mean? If he wins it today and he's 8-time World Champion, I think he should step aside.
But imagine that he goes next year, new car comes in, and Mercedes are not being funny. They've got the money. Yeah, they're going to be in a position where they're going to be challenging next year, regardless, in my opinion. It might take them a few races to get going, but they're going to be in a position where they'll be challenging to a point. Why wouldn't you do that as Lewis? If Lewis goes and wins his the carrot of the 9th title to go completely clear is far too much there.
Dangling, isn't it?
Who's even near him? Who's even near him that could do it? Vettel on 4.
Yeah, so he's gone. So Max is the next one down, isn't he? Really, basically on 0. Literally, that's.
But if you think about it. This is the carrot that's dangling in front of Lewis. If he does stay for next year and win next year's World Champion, it would be the 4th engine type he's won a World Championship in that's never been done before because he's done the V8s, the V10s, or was it V10s and V12s? And then the turbo hybrid, and then next year's. fourth engine type.
The simple basis is he's a thoroughbred, yeah. He actually looks better this year than what he has done in any other year.
I mean,
so why would he walk?
I think we've all figured this one out, Marcus.
Because I'll tell you why he might walk. Because when you go out, you want to go out on top, don't you? If you're going to retire at the top.
Well, everyone's calling.
This is the other thing. This is why only he'll know what he's going to do. Because if you retire at the top, brilliant. If he goes into next season as an absolute shocking season, people will always remember the season he retired as well. They'll go, "Yeah, he was great for 8 years."
But is he there for George next year?
Boys.
Is he there for George next year?
Boys, yeah, that's my point. So yeah, he wins the title, steps down. Who's coming in for him?
Verstappen.
That'd be mad.
It'd be
somebody you've not heard of. Now, let's be realistic about it. Who would go to Mercedes? And I don't think it'd be anybody in the current crop. I think it would be an F2 driver.
George Russell's been brought in to be mentored by Lewis Hamilton to give that little bit of a push to see what George has got. Yeah, that's what's happening.
I think if you're George Russell, you turn around next season, you're seeing Lewis Hamilton knocking around.
There's your next Mercedes driver. He'll leave McLaren and go to Mercedes if they're competitive in 2 years' time.
Not happening.
Lando Norris by 2030 is a world champion.
Yeah. Why would he not? Why would he not? If Mercedes,
he probably would. I think, but I can't see it happening in the next couple of seasons.
2 years. If Lewis wins the title next year, Lewis steps down. If Lewis gets his 9th title, he goes.
I think there's a massive, shall I say, bounty on top of Lando's head if he was to go and switch teams. I think it's going to cost a team a lot of money because they've never revealed he's on a multi-year contract. Now, multi-year to me sounds 3 to 4 years, but supposedly it's bigger than that. So I don't want it to happen.
You could also say
leave Lando alone.
You could also say
he's mine.
See, once Lando has got it in spades, for me, he's the most talented British driver outside of obviously Lewis.
You seen where he's moved to? Moved next door to Lewis Hamilton in Monaco.
Oh, he's in Monaco. Yeah, he's in Monaco.
He doesn't go to. He doesn't go. He's having his house modified right now, but he's literally on the same street as Lewis.
There you go. You see, so he's literally trying to be Lewis. He's going to be.
You've got to think of Lando. Let's look how young Lando is. Like getting into F1, right? It was all Lewis. For the last 15 years, it's all been Lewis. Why wouldn't you surround yourself with greatness? Who else lives in Monaco? Kimi Raikkonen. All of these people live there.
But Lewis wins the title this year and wins it next year. He steps down. Lando goes to Mercedes if they're a competitive car.
Do you think they'll do that, George and Lando together?
Yeah, absolutely.
It would be nice.
They're both really very different drivers. Okay. Especially if Toto stays, because if Toto stays, he likes working with those sort of drivers. So
there's another question. You've mentioned Toto. If Toto leaves Mercedes, is that the dominance of Mercedes done, do you think?
I don't think it will. I don't think it will. I don't know who they'll have lined up.
I think he's very, very important to that team. I think it's, quoting a different sport, he is effectively the Alex Ferguson of
I forgot. I knew that would come.
Because he is. Same thing as basically as any Liverpool greats. Basically, he's the same. He's the same.
He's certainly passionate, as was proved last week when he smashed his headphones all over the place.
Oh no, it's not just any headphones. Hilarious. Bose headphones as well. They didn't see the next day, did they?
He was gone, wasn't he? He was gone.
I don't think Toto's going anywhere. I think he loves his job. I think he loves the position he's in. He's financially linked in within that team.
He's linked into the esports side of it as well now, isn't he?
Yeah. So he will want to bring his mission will basically to take Mercedes into that next era and be dominant in that next era. So he's here to stay for another 3 or 4 years. Unfortunately for everybody else, because the guy's an absolute legend. Isn't he?
I had a feeling that, do you know when the contract signing with Lewis was happening? I thought Toto signed a new contract at the same time, didn't it? Yeah, and I didn't realise that when Toto signed, he actually brought Susie Wolff in as a director of the company. He brought her in, which has probably saved him a little bit and probably given him a bit more longevity in F1 because she's at every single race now. She wasn't always at the races. So you've got to also think that, like, your wives and your partners do play a massive part in how your F1 career goes. And I think by bringing her in, he's been smart, and he's like, basically, I'm not going anywhere. And I like Toto. I think he's definitely the best. I have to say,
he's
by
far my favourite team principal. And he's part of the reason why I like Mercedes so much, because
I can't wait for the new season of Drive to Survive to get all the back gossip with him knocking around, because he you know what I mean, like, it's the passion of the guy. He is Mr. Mercedes. What he doesn't know about the Mercedes.
Do you know what? Even when he does the interviews, though, Martin. So when you talking about Drive to Survive, when he does the interviews with, because also we get I think the whole world pretty much gets the Sky coverage in some format. But even with the interviews with the Sky guys or whoever, basically former drivers, they all love him. Yeah, he has such a charisma about him that when he's talking to them, he can't say anything wrong, can he? So
no, and that's the difference with Horner. Because when you talk to Horner, he's always kind of like a bit of a needle. You can see it in recent races.
They're trying to wind him up with a stick, aren't they?
They are. Damon Hill's the worst one for it. Him and Damon Hill the other week had a right clash, but they're like, he's like, go on, we'll poke you. With Toto, you don't get that reaction. He just kind of like laugh it off. No. You know,
I think they're a bit more scared that Toto could probably crush you. He definitely doesn't look like a guy you want to mess around with.
Although, just going back to last week's race again, I do think he needs to have a word with Lewis Hamilton about what team he races for, because when it was a red flag, I believe me and Andrew spotted it, that Lewis Hamilton
he walked through the Williams
garage.
He actually went through the Williams garage.
Lewis, you're next door, mate. He went round the back.
Lewis has got a history for that, though. Can you remember Lewis's first race for Mercedes? He parked up in the
McLaren garage.
Made a pit stop.
He parked in the McLaren garage, and he just oh no, I'm not here anymore.
There, were you, Martin? I'm guessing, but literally his first race for Mercedes,
parked in the McLaren garage,
came in for his box and literally stopped in the McLaren garage.
It's like I mean, I don't know if you spotted it, Paul, but it was so funny. He was like one of them. It was like a double take. They all like looked at him like,
"You ain't not driver.
You're next door." And he just stopped his car, got out, saw a garage, and thought, "That'll do."
Do you know what they're probably thinking? Is like, I know we're losing George. Are we getting Lewis? Is this what's happening?
Bloody hell.
Brilliant.
You got the good deal. But yeah, bless him.
As long as he didn't touch any of the car parts as he went through, otherwise it would have been a fight.
Yeah, he should have tapped on the wing of one of them, shouldn't he? Can't do that, can we?
That's Max's job.
That's Max's job. Max is in background like that.
Yeah.
It's a bit loose.
Yeah. I don't think we really can put too much into proper words, really, of how excited we are for today. I think excited as is. I can't. I know it's going to be a dull race. That's the problem. It's just like it's going to be a dull race, but there's so much riding on this supposed dull race.
It might only ride about 200 yards to the first corner.
My take on this, I think it's going to be very, very tactical today. And I think you're going to find that Lewis will track Max for as long as he needs to, to force Max into either using his tyres up too early or to basically to make that stop. Then the last half of the race is when you'll start to see who will come into it. And I think that's what's going to happen today.
I kind of, I said like to Andy yesterday, it is a shame it's going to come to this, but it is going to be won in the pits today. It's going to be won and lost in the pits today, I think. Yeah. And it's as simple as that. And it's who gets attacked this right now. Yesterday, Red Bull were talking about having a 2-pit strategy, and the commentators were like, "Does he not know this track?" I'm not seeing it myself, but it's not. It's a one-stop track. It's a one-stop track, and then you've got Horner already coming out now saying we might do 2 stops. So again, that's putting pressure on Max again. Unnecessarily.
He's just trying to.
I said to you yesterday when he said that I'm going to do 2 stops. Of course, he's going to do 2 stops. He's got Max.
Yeah, he's got Perez, and he's got
Perez to pit.
2 stops.
2 stops.
But again, he didn't need to come out and say that. He didn't need to come out and say that.
Just a quick one though, just a really quick one on this, because I know obviously want to try and keep to time because I need to get across to watch this with you boys today.
Yeah, boy.
So obviously, Andy, you don't like this track. Okay, previous reincarnations, it's not been your favourite. I've actually not said anything to you because actually I do like this track. It's one of the more modern tracks I do like. I think it's purely because I've sort of grown up, obviously watching it intense with this one, but with the track changes,
I do like them.
Yeah, do you think it's better? Obviously, it's going to be better than what it was for you, but
it's a tough one because obviously I haven't seen it racing. Do you know what I mean?
What don't you like
I
about
wasn't
the track?
But then
what don't you like about it?
It's not really offered anything for me. It's not really. The majority of the races have been so dull there. It's just like.
But do you think it's because titles have already been decided by that point? Because that's
probably. I mean that probably make I'd have to agree with that. Probably that is what it is. I can't say for definite, but yeah, because titles it becomes a nothing race. That's the bad part of the last race of the season, isn't it? It could all be done and dusted by that point.
Put Monaco in their last race of the season, and put Abu Dhabi further up the.
Well, that is a pit stop track, isn't it? It's horrible.
Yeah.
But I didn't go into Jeddah. I went into watching Jeddah not really liking the look of it, and then came out there singing its praises. I think it's great.
And incidentally, the Jeddah light show afterwards. What a performance they put on! Wow,
with the drones.
Oh, I mean, Abu Dhabi now they'll be watching that thinking we've got to go and beat them today. But that show that they put on the whole event last weekend was
Abu Dhabi's got a good
brilliant.
firework display, haven't they? At the end, so they're good. But
yeah, they do it straight across down the finish straight.
Next year, Singapore back next year.
Should be.
Yeah, I like Singapore. I
want Australia back next year.
Australia, beautiful track. I love that.
And that's changing as well. They changed that track. They got make it faster, didn't they?
Faster. Some of those. Well,
they've got rid of the chicanes. Yeah. Do you know when you come out the back bit?
Yeah.
I think it's like
got the chicane.
Corner 10th corner.
It's about 10 or 11, isn't it? Yeah, I know which one you mean.
That's now sweeping right left.
Is it?
Yeah.
That's the one with the chicane where you'd end up in the sandpit, wouldn't you, a lot of the time?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's, to me, they're taking that out, which is good, but at the same time, drivers used to make mistakes on that one. So
big time.
Yeah,
we were watching. Me and Mike were watching this documentary the other day called One, which, by the way, everybody should watch it.
Oh yes.
The amount of crashes. Do you know Melbourne? You go to the first chicane down that straight, and you do the right into where the cricket stadium is.
Yeah.
The amount of people that crash on that corner is ridiculous.
Yeah, it's tight. Yeah.
Big up to that documentary, by the way. It's quite an old one because I think Lewis is still at McLaren when they did it, but very eye-opening and quite somber documentary as well. Quite a somber documentary. It doesn't hold back on the crashes. It shows you full coverage of them, and kudos to these guys that they literally don't know if they go around the next corner. Is that going to be my last corner? I think people say when they crash, it's sad and it's tragic, but that's when lessons are learned. And no doubt in the future of the sport, somebody will lose their life. But again, it's the risk they take and the evolution of the cars and where they've come from, the safety. I mean, back in the 60s and 70s, what on earth was all that about? You had a 1 in 7 chance of dying on that track.
Literally 1 in 7 chance of surviving the race. It's
crackers.
But you've got to think, back then there was about 30 cars on the grid.
Yeah, but this is what makes people want to watch motor racing. I mean, I was
the danger element.
I was watching qualifying yesterday, obviously, and then afterwards, when they were interviewing Max, they showed him on the big screen behind him. They showed Max's lap. Yeah, and I was just looking at it, and I said, if I was Max's up, I'd be looking at it, going, "Geez, look at me going on." Do you know what I mean? It's just the adrenaline of it, the watching, the speed of it, and just being in there, and. Yeah, that's why I watch it. I don't think the TV coverage does the speed any justice. Because if you actually go and see them, they're ridiculously quicker than that. It kind of like dumbs it down. They do it in. There's an angle basically which they do it at, and it shows the speed of it at a certain angle. And I think
the curve angle, the curve cameras tend to catch
the favourite camera angle of the season for me is Max versus Lewis at Silverstone coming down into. The old bridge section. I can't remember what it's called. Brooklands. Do you know? They had the one on the cable, and it showed them going into the hairpin and going onto the old pitch straight. And they just had the best angle of that because you just watched them and you could see the little head movements. Favorite camera, by the way, helmet cam this year. It's been brilliant. We had it yesterday, didn't we? It didn't even look real in Leclerc's
like
visor. It's
simulation.
weird.
It looked like a simulation, didn't it? It was good. See, my memory of it is the helicopter risen up above the track. Was it in one of, I think, very, very early ones? And it come literally
like Dutch Grand Prix.
No, it was before that. It was before that. It was somewhere, and literally the helicopter. And they actually had to tell the helicopter pilot to go up higher because he was causing that much of a downdraft. But that you just saw the helicopter come up over the horizon and catch them all, and it was fantastic. Well, I think they did tell the helicopter pilot on the next race.
Got 10 minutes.
You've got to go higher,
boys. I want to do something before we go because so obviously the last time we're going to be doing an F1 show with the season. I don't know if we'll do a review on.
I think we can try and review it in the next 10. If we do it in the next 10 minutes.
But what I'd like to do really is just want to ask you boys a question. Okay. Obviously got your scores. Andy's got the scores there, but prior to this race today, which I don't think unless miracles happen, it's not going to be a 10 out of 10. It might be, which you might have to look at it, but. Your favourite? Sorry, let's start off. What's your worst race this season?
Spa.
Spa. Okay. Martin?
The Dutch Grand Prix was absolutely boring.
Oh, if you're actually looking for an actual race,
it wasn't for the show that we did afterwards. That would have
Are you asking for a full race? Not
your worst race this season.
Zandvoort,
the Dutch race was a massive
so that's unanimous. Yeah, that was an absolutely shocking track. Okay, as in the race itself, track itself was obviously.
You needed one of them special brownies to watch it.
Yeah. So this one will be different then.
Ajax.
Favorite race? Yeah, Ajax. Favorite race this season, Martin.
My favorite race last weekend. New track. Nobody had a clue what was going on, but everything went on. It was brilliant. I loved it from start to finish. I was glued. It was fantastic. I loved it.
Favorite race of the season. If I put my McLaren hat on, I'm going to say Monza. But favorite race of the season, just for the sheer competitive, how it unfolded. Interlagos.
Yeah.
Even though I didn't vote it as my favorite.
You didn't. No,
but looking back at it and watching it, like the skill set of one race driver and what was going on in that race, I have to say Interlagos. But then I got my British hat, and now I'm going to say Silverstone.
So Paul, same question to you: which Lewis Hamilton victory? I mean, sorry, which race did you think was the best?
Interlagos for me. I think I stated at the time that Interlagos was my favourite race so far. And
so out of all of this, we've all voted on tracks that we didn't vote 10 out of 10 on.
Oh, I did.
No, because last week we didn't do a thing.
Yeah, you voted a Lewis win 10 out of 10.
I voted 10 out of 10 for Interlagos because I thought the track itself stunning. I love it.
Oh yeah, hands down.
So good.
Yeah. All right. Yeah.
So last question from me then, boys, before we call this a day. Very simple one. Who wins it today?
Lewis. You ain't gonna get. There's no point asking Paul. There's no point asking Paul.
And when I say who wins it, they might not finish. Who wins the World Championship? Lewis or Max? Paul, Lewis. I'm not even asking you.
Lewis all day long. All day long.
I'm gonna have to go with my heart and say Lewis. Yeah, I can't back down now.
Funniest, strangest moment of the season.
The strangest moment of the season.
Funniest or strangest? It depends how you look at it. I've got one.
The Dutch Grand Prix altogether. The decision to add the Dutch Grand Prix.
I think the McLaren boys giving the shoey to Zach Brown was quite amusing.
That were wicked
because he didn't want to do that, did he? Didn't want to do that.
My strangest one of the season. Lewis starting on the grid on his own.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Everyone was in the pits.
Where's everyone gone?
Yeah.
Here I am.
That's what I mean. Is
there a race on today?
He had about a 20-second lead on the first lap.
My strangest one was McLaren's decision not to pit Lando when they should have done, which resulted in him dropping down.
Yes. Yeah,
that was the strangest part of the season for me. I don't think we looked at it as much as we should have done because
I got upset.
Yeah, you. Yeah, just to put it mildly, we couldn't even talk about it. It was like, yeah, Lewis did it, so Lewis did this, and he should have done this. Lando's perfect. I was like,
is there anything really? If you're gonna, I tell you what, because we've done all the races, we've voted 10, we've done all that 10 out of 10 stuff. The season on a whole, out of 10, Martin, you go. This is your first season back as well. Obviously, we're discounting today's race, but season as a whole.
I mean, everyone said it's the greatest one. I can remember them back in the 90s and whatnot. And yeah, cars have changed, technology's changed. But taking all into account, it's got to be a 10. You can't set it up any more perfectly for it to be a 10. Had it been like someone going into this race slightly ahead, maybe a 9. But things what have happened, races that have not took place, COVID's still knocking around at the beginning of the season, and the season going until March. It's just ticked over nicely, and now it's coming to a head. It's got to be a 10.
10. Oh,
you want mine? 2 out of 10 because Lewis did dominate and didn't win the championship just straight away. I'm only joking, by the way.
I'm just going to say, shut up.
Yeah, it has by far. I mean, Martin, you picked a great season to come back into it. For me, it's been the greatest season I can remember, because the last season I can remember being as strong as this would have been the Senna PK, Senna Prost, and I was only 9 at the time. So for me, I can't really remember. I just remember the sort of like shenanigans of it. Yeah, I can't really remember the races themselves. With this one, this will go down in my memory as being the greatest season, I think, because we've covered it the way we have done as well. So yeah, 10 out of 10.
Yeah,
easy one.
10 out of 10 for me. I mean, the only season that I can think in my memory that could come close was Lewis's first championship in 2007, when it was Massa versus Lewis in Interlagos. But I don't think that one was as good as this. So I'm going to give it a 10 out of 10 for a season. I can't wait for Drive to Survive, because it's going to be very interesting. Martin, do you want to do the honours of the TRL Fantasy F1 League?
No.
No.
Because I've got the ump.
Mate, you overtook me. So, yeah, next season, Paul, get your own email address.
Yeah, I'll be magnanimous in defeat here, and then you've got to give a massive respect to Andy's lovely wife, the lovely Natalie, or Nat. She would hate me calling her Natalie, so I'm going to call her Natalie just to annoy her, because she's annoyed me all season by literally not changing her Formula One dream team, and has not just won it. She's a good 200 or 300 points in front, and she's only played one Mega Driver all season. And she knows quite well that I'm not very happy. I've got the ump. I've tried my hardest here, but fair play to you, Nat.
So we've all been defeated by somebody who doesn't know anything about F1.
Whoa. Can I just ask where I actually finished? Because I haven't logged in since the first week.
I think you are. I think top of my head, I think you might be 5th or 6th.
And I'm 6th. I'm 6th. I've been there for a few weeks.
Luke is 2nd. I'm 3rd now. I was 2nd for a long time, and then I had a bad week. So Luke finished 2nd. Or he will finish 2nd, because I can't see anything changing now. But I'm sure 4th. You might even be 4th, Paul. I'm not 100% sure.
Could I ask a question then on the back of that? Just another one. What is a Mega Driver?
You get triple points.
See, and you can not even.
But you can.
Because you
Turbo Driver. You can choose anyone you like.
So Mega Driver. I'm better than you, and I haven't even logged in to even go into it.
No. So you see, your Turbo Driver, you couldn't pick Max Verstappen or Lewis Hamilton. It wouldn't let you. You can choose anybody else. But your Mega Driver, you could then play them too, because they're your Mega Drivers.
Imagine how good I'd be then if I knew what I was doing.
Yeah. Mate, imagine how good you'd be if you had your own email
what I was
address.
doing, and I couldn't guess it.
Well,
he knew what he was doing, and he couldn't guess it. It's just pot luck, man. But yeah, I mean, obviously, we're going to be we're wrapping it up now. This is our first time. Well, not even a year yet, have we? First time doing this live, speaking about F1. It's been a bit been quite fun, to be honest. Obviously, we have our Facebook, we have Twitter, Instagram, Reddit, YouTube, all of this.
Look below.
We have people who work behind the scenes, as in my wife, Nat. She's part of the admins that helps with our posters. Paul's wife, Marie, who looks after our other socials, mostly Instagram, isn't it, and Twitter.
Yeah.
We have Matt, who was looking after our Reddit. Martin, massive thanks to you, because you came in and you're part of the admin team now as well. I can't remember when you started, like, getting involved with the videos, to be honest.
A few races in it was.
Few races
it's been an absolute pleasure, guys.
I want to thank everybody that's helped us, especially the people that have joined our page. We're not far off 1K on the group. Our page has grown to 2.6K. YouTube is just off near to 100, not quite there yet. It's been fun, and I've really enjoyed it.
I just want to put in the guests as well. We have Vic Ladd, who's been on as well. We'll try and get him on again. You've had Kevin, he's been on.
At
some point. So
Matt's been on. We've had loads of people.
Come and join us again next season, guys. Come and get your opinions across. You'll be more than welcome. You probably give one of us a break if you came on.
I think we are probably in the new year, like a bit of a gap fill. We organising some quiz again. Someone can come and knock my crown off. Remember that, guys. I won the quiz.
Oh, here we go. Here we go.
I've got a crown.
Prize fixed by Paul.
And you guys as well, especially. I mean, we have had some laughs on here. People, if you've ever watched some of our shows, we went a bit off track at one point, shall we say? No pun intended on that one. When we'll put in Mascarpone, the Alps, basically puns that we tried to fit in. Ajax. Tried to throw Paul off. I tried to throw Paul off as much as possible when I came in as a cowboy.
You did.
You
did.
Didn't happen, though.
You did. You were just like,
you looked and didn't know what to do.
But no, guys, it's been
great, guys. Pleasure. I've loved it.
Cool.
And we'll be back for next season.
Yeah,
we will.
So, just say thank you for everybody. We've gone over an hour, so I don't really want to keep people waiting any longer. Enjoy the race. It's going to be a cracker regardless.
Good luck to both drivers.
Yeah, good luck to both drivers.
Just a quick one.
Or all drivers.
Oh.
We've obviously got these partners. We've got to thank them.
Yes,
Thanks,
the Gaffer's Gaff. There's been a bit of a break on the Gaffer's Gaff recently for personal reasons, but we'll be back. We'll be back next year. I think we've set in a date of, I believe, the 22nd of January might be our comeback, guys. So, hop on the page. There's a few polls going on there and whatnot. We'll be all over that soon.
Yeah, we've got the Armchair Pundits as well. So the boys across at the Armchair Pundits who cover, obviously, the football standalone. Please follow their page, go on to the group. Just standard sort of football banter. And then we also basically have our own sort of group basically around the group. The goal line, our show. We will be doing a little bit more over the Christmas period. So please look out for that. We've got some really good ideas about sort of obviously with retro, but also looking at the Christmas period coming up. And hopefully you'll see a little bit more from that coming soon. So which
enjoy the races.
Do I finish it off with the F1 show?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cheers, guys.
See you soon.
Take care, guys. In a bit.